Kevin, not a minute late, huh? Hey, so I've got my headphones on right now, and I'm wondering if you would be comfortable for us to have this conversation out in the open. I'd be broadcasting. Okay? Sounds good, man. If that's the case, I'm gonna route my audio out, and boom. Mic check. Oh, shit. Yeah, you're still coming out through my, my headphones. Alright, now it should be good.
Okay.
Yeah, so I imagine you've been I had a whole bunch of people talking at you for the past while. How are you?
All things considered, I'm doing really well. I've spent a lot of time with family and positive influences, talking to a lot of very, very energetic, highly motivated people, and being around that sort of drive it does nothing but encourage you. So definitely battling the negative right now with a lot of positive. So I'm good. I am well.
That's good. I'm happy to hear that, man. I admit I was pretty shocked. I think I first learned of it through looking at Twitter. I was still following people from the Destiny community. I've since unfollowed some, but it came as a bit of a surprise to me, and I'm sure it's caught a lot of your supporters off guard. But the comment I made was that people who are loyal to you will just be driven deeper into your camp, and you're gonna take hits. Sure, I guess we'll find out when the 30 days is up.
I mean, there's so much to what happened. People look at it like oh, he's just a racist, or he's just a bad person, or he's just constantly making mistakes. It's a long path to get to where I was on that night that everything happened. I mean, everything from, Destiny 2 being a letdown to trying, Fortnite and basically quitting Destiny for a few months to just a bunch of negative things happening in and out of the game and life and everything, dealing with a lot of personal drama. And that just led me down this negative path, this darker path. And not to downplay a situation like this. There's no excuse, for what happened. Ownership of it definitely. Such a hard thing. The hardest thing about this is avoiding the cliches that people always hear. If somebody says, I'm not a racist, that's what a racist would say that's in trouble.
Sure.
A lot of people don't know my backstory, don't know who I am. I mean, they don't know that I basically was best friends with an African-American growing up. They don't know that I was part of a multicultural stream team and helped people of different descents get partnered, played with them, gamed with them every single week, had talks, countless hours of talks with these people. It's such a hard place to be in, and there's no right answer. Yeah. One of the largest things that people are saying right now is, his apology's fake. It's all scripted. It's not real. He shouldn't have scripted it. He's clearly reading from something.
Yeah, I saw that. So
the flip side of that is, well, then I just turn on stream and I just ramble, and it's unorganized. And I don't script things like that. I make sure that I have statements that are outlined, that I make sure that I have to say, that I want to say, that I don't miss these points. But in no way is every single word ever scripted. And so it's really, really hard to get the sincerity across while staying on topic. And so one of the biggest complaints is if I go off the cuff, like I am now, then I'm going to be unorganized, possibly repeating myself. If I stay scripted, at least I get the point across, but the sincerity might be there. There's no right answers for this. There's no right answers for the race epidemic that we're experiencing.
For sure. In fact, you were talking about, like, before you actually made this public statement, I remember that the Destiny broadcaster, she's also partnered, the one that I'd been following that raised it to her community's awareness, was that it'd be another Crocodile Tears movie. I mean, a Crocodile Tears speech. And here I am, I'm using the air quotes Because I don't
Yeah.
think that you were fucking around when you were talking about the incident involving you and that girl.
No, so there's a very distinct difference between my two apologies. First off, the first one, whether people like to believe it or not, those are sincere tears. And I have cried countless tears over it. It's the first time that I've ever been exposed on such a public level to that sort of reality. In no way, shape, or form did I cry during the last video. So for people to say it's just, another fake crocodile tears apology, I'd like to think that I kept my head held up high. And a lot of the things that people are saying about that video, about the sincerity, is in so many ways it came as such a shock to me because of who I am and my history, and just the fact that I'd even be accused of being a racist. I understand what I did. It was immature, it was ignorant, it was racially insensitive, but in no way am I a racist at all. In fact, if anything, if I'm racist at all, it's towards other Caucasian. It's just, so it's very, very hard to stay sincere when you're still in such a state of shock. And if I could have done it again, I would have waited to calm down a little bit more before doing the apology, because it literally was a sleepless night into a conference call with fellow stream team members, to writing the outline to this, to delivering it. And then the next day I was suspended. There just wasn't enough time to really set a sincere mood without feeling shocked. You don't instantaneously, the second, a gun is fired, apologize. You have to realize that you even pulled the trigger. So I don't think I ever went through that state of shit, I pulled the trigger. Instead, I went straight to an apology. And that's been something that I've really had to try to overcome in these last few weeks, is going from having this state of a dog with its tail tucked in between its leg and being ashamed of existing, because these are things that we are labeled with. Once you're labeled a pedophile or a racist or a rapist or these things, the internet doesn't let go of those labels. In fact, careers are made and broken off of label.
Sure.
And so I tucked my tail. I did. I tucked my tail and I went immediately to an apology without really thinking of the overall picture behind it. And that was my biggest mistake. And I did it before too with my first apology, with coming out. I don't even feel like it's necessarily, it was an apology, but it was more explaining the truth. The first one about me being a sex offender. And I felt like I let people down, but it wasn't something that I can change. It's the past. It is what it is now. It's just living with it. And it absolutely blows me away. And without naming names, I'll just leave it very, very open, because I don't believe an eye for an eye. There are streamers that are now openly speaking out against me, that were up with me the night before, helping me write those apologies, that literally helped me word for word write out the first apology. And those are the ones that are screaming the loudest right now. There are streamers that are trying to publicly oust me, that talk to me every single week while I was going to my rehabilitation class. Every single week they would talk, because it's an 1.5-hour drive to get to my class. Shit. And then the class is an 1.5 hours, and then I drive back an 1.5 hours. And I've been doing that for almost 3 years. I graduate in September.
Mm-hmm.
And, I spent every single Thursday on the phone with these streamers. They knew what I was doing. They knew where I was going. They knew my whole backstory. And now they try to act like they don't. They misconstrue facts. They're literally just screaming as loud as they can to belittle me. And it's really unfortunate that they're doing it, but I've talked with a lot of different people, and in a way, it's such a blessing in disguise. This whole thing has revealed to me who is truly a supporter, who is truly in my corner, and who's out there just to get partnered, get a few views, whatever. It's just really, 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 really sad to me that the biggest that these streamers have ever been, their biggest videos, their biggest tweets, their biggest posts, their biggest streams are either because they were in my corner or because they were trying to burn me down. And that's something they have to live with.
Sure.
I hope that they can overcome that they can find that positivity, and that they can, send that message of positivity. And I also on their side, you gotta stand up for what's right. So it's prop to them. I'm sure it wasn't easy for them to blow a whistle, especially on racism, which is such a huge topic right now with, the Trump wall, with what's going on with immigrants right now, with the countless Twitch streamers that have been 1 day banned, 2 week banned, 1 month banned, 24-hour banned, all for racial slurs and racial comments. But I believe I'm the only one that just outright has been called a racist because of this. Ninja drops, a racial slur on stream in a song that doesn't even have a racial slur in it. Didn't even get a 24-hour ban. Tifa was supposed to get a month for using a racial slur to describe someone in a video game. He ended up getting 2 weeks because the internet rallied around him to bring him back. But I post a couple letters in a racial slur in another streamer's chat that literally was just the people that were posting. We're talking 5 viewers. And we never even completed this word. We never completed the racial slur, ever. And there is, I think, 7 streamers that are permanently banned from Twitch. And then the partnered streamers and 2 other streamers are on 30-day bans.
Wow.
I understand that some of the TOS has changed, but to have that blatant favoritism is pretty disgusting.
I'm kind of reminded of this Louis C.K. thing. You remember what happened with old Louis?
Go ahead and refresh me.
So it was with the Me Too movement, and I think a little before it, actually. Rumblings were that he had asked these female comics if he could masturbate in front of them. Like, he'd invite them up to his room after the show, and they did a comedy club, and afterwards he'd offer them a drink and then ask if he could jack off in front of them. And some of them felt pressured into saying yes, because they're like, well, he's Louis C.K. He's huge. Yeah. If I build up curry some favor with him, then it could pay off in a big way for me, my career. If I say no, he might do something bad, right? I mean, there's also the dynamic, the male-female, and it's that I think the biggest thing here was the differing levels of power that they had. That was the big thing. So, you're talking about going into a really small broadcast, right? And you're a partner broadcaster, it's going to look even worse than if you were to do it to a larger broadcaster, somebody who could, stand to fight back.
I agree to a certain extent. This broadcaster stream that originally we did it in, I would consider him my best friend. I was a mod in his channel. He only streams probably once or twice every month. It was literally just a group of us friends all in there, just literally being completely idiotic. And one thing led to another. And unfortunately, on his second stream of that month, unfortunately, we decided to make that decision to start posting the letter.
Wait, so to be clear, he's you and him were still cool at this point?
Yeah. No, we were absolutely fine in the original stream that we did it. So we did it in 2 streams.
Yeah.
The first stream was just that late night, just close proximity of friends, and it felt harmless, to the point where we never finished the word, and we were just laughing about it because we couldn't finish spelling it because we would always fuck each other up, add a random F in there or add random letters, so it would never get completed, because it was funny to fuck each other up. that doesn't mean that race is a laughing matter. The racial slur isn't as serious as everyone says, because it is, but it still was never finished.
Gotcha.
And then the next night, we didn't see any ramifications. We didn't see any problems. We'd gotten done streaming, me and another partnered streamer, and we hosted out to somebody that is a good friend of ours. And so we hosted him. I did my typical TaLoN copter raid. My whole community posted my emotes. It was a really good experience. And then somebody started, I don't remember who, somebody started posting the letters again. And so at first, I was still doing my own community raid after we hosted him. And, I think we almost desensitized ourselves. We did this yesterday. It was funny. Everybody got a good laugh out of it. And again,
right.
We never got expelled, but at the same point, it was in a larger stream, somebody that was averaging, 50 viewers. But when the other partner streamer and myself hosted him, he went up to, I think, over 200 viewers. And so with that exposure and with that sort of all of the streamers that were suspended were all suspended for hateful conduct, because Twitch was considering it a racial slur raid. So because we did it post-host, it was considered a racial raid, which is a hateful conduct.
Yeah,
and so
I could see that.
Yeah, and it definitely makes sense. And that's why we got so much time. That's why we got a month. Not to say that we didn't talk about it, but at first none of us were contacted about how long our suspensions would be. We were all thinking we would get, 1 week, because it was in text, not over stream, because it was in other people's chats. But we had forgotten about Twitch changing the TOS, about doing racial slurs post-host in other people's stream. And so that's why it was all the way up to 1 month. Honestly, there were people that were fully banned for it, that were not streamers, that were just viewers, because they added letters as well. But they are governed underneath a different part of Twitch. So if you're a partnered streamer, you are held responsible by the partnership team, where if you're not partnered, then you're just handled by Twitch, which is a blanket just ban them policy, basically.
Right.
So that's kind of rundown of at least the logistics behind what happened and why it happened. But there's so much complex underlying factors onto not only why it happened, but the long path to how it happened.
It's all news to me, man.
Yeah, and I mean, determining those factors through, I've been doing one-on-one therapy for 9 months now. It's to deal with a lot of my past issues. I've had a very, very, very troubled life. And I've been talking a lot in my one-on-ones about the psychology of the internet and how it's affected me. I've talked a lot about race. I've talked a lot about labels. I've talked a lot about how to overcome this. Because it's hard to stay strong and show remorse. It's hard to stay driven and yet stay humble. It's hard to say, yeah, I fucked up, but I'm done apologizing. But you can tell that I'm still sorry. Like, it's so hard to keep that balance because the internet wants both sides, and there's no way to please everybody. There's absolutely no way to even please half the people, because no matter what, you're wrong half the time. If you're a Republican, you're wrong by Democrats. If you're Democrat, you're wrong by Republicans. If you're pro-life, well, you're wrong by, it's just, there are people that are viewing me the way they are simply because I'm a sex offender. There are people that are trying to burn me, and I understand why. Honestly, it's unfortunate, and for me to say it, I shouldn't be able to stream on Twitch. Not because I'm a danger, not because I would ever do anything to harm anyone, but simply because I am a sex offender. And it wouldn't surprise me if Twitch changes those policies within the coming year.
That sex offender situation was one that I wanted to talk with you about a long time ago. Remember, I tried to support you. Then one of your guys that had donated to you in the past, I saw his name in the donor list. He came and he was like, I see what you're doing. You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
And for a while I thought I should write an article about NDS TaLoN and just like bring all the facts together and provide my take on the situation. But I never got around to doing it. I got busy with other shit.
No, we all get busy. That's life.
Yeah.
So one of the main things that people always bring up is there was a news article posted. I mean, it's been posted 100 times, 1,000 times online now. And the news article is quoting the parks ranger that made the original arrest on me. Now, this is a national parks ranger. This isn't a police officer. This isn't, a true law enforcement officer. It's somebody that's able to detain somebody if they believe they're breaking the law. This newspaper article has me molesting someone underneath the age of 16. It has me doing my crimes to somebody that's underneath the age of 16, which is a blatant lie. But until I'm removed from the sex offenders list, the newspaper will not remove the article. I've contacted their editor-in-chief. I've contacted the actual person that wrote it. And because it's a direct quote from the arresting park ranger, it is deemed as true and that there's no reason for them to take it down. Now, come to the truth, and I've given people my court documents. I've given my Twitch rep my court documents. I've given countless people my court documents. They know that at the time of the arrest, that she was 2 months away from being 17. I was only 2 weeks from 24. So literally there was there was still an age difference, a 7-year age difference. But what I did with this person isn't even illegal in 32 other states. Now, I'm not trying to defend what I did. We were in a relationship. She was my girlfriend. I was her boyfriend. We were endorsed by her family. I had gone to family reunions. I had gone to dinners. I had shaken her grandfather's hand and had a long, intimate talk about his granddaughter's potential future with me. Like, this wasn't some predatorial, disgusting sex offense. This was a progression of a relationship. What was that? Sorry.
You didn't have a white van and offer her candy?
No. In fact, she drove. The day of the offense was actually the first time that we had done something sexual. It was something that I was trying not to get involved with, knowing the age discrepancy. That day we had both parked our vehicles. We went for a walk on the beach. We got back to our vehicles. We hopped in her vehicle and we went to a park that had, some trails, and we decided we were going to do a picnic. So we went and we, started to have our picnic. It was a nice summer day, start of July. She takes off her top, lays down and starts sunbathing, I'm like, hell yeah, whatever. I take off my shirt, lay down, start sunbathing. It was just nice. It was a nice day. We were listening to music, eating some food, relaxing. We start kissing, making out. It progresses, and she gets on top of me, without her top on, and says, I know how to do a lap dance, and starts to actually perform the feat. Progressing from one thing to another, she never laid her hands on any of my private at all. I've always been a giver, sexually speaking. And so I gave her oral copulation, and also the foreign object that everyone screams about. That's just simply anything that penetrates. It was my hand, and so I fingered her, I penetrated her, and I gave her oral copulation, And it was shortly after that we'd ended our picnic and we were on the way out of the park when it was really late. The sun was going down. The park closes at sundown. So we were on the way out. The park ranger was closing up when her mom slid into the park and started yelling at her. And so the park ranger intervening puts my girlfriend at the time to the side, puts me to the side, and then puts the mother to the side. Now, what she had told her mom is that we were going to go to the movies. And instead, we went to the park. I didn't know that we were supposed to go to the movies. And so her mom was yelling at her because she's wandered off in the middle of the night sometimes. She's done things that she's not supposed to. She wasn't exactly the most straightforward person. She didn't listen to her mom very often. So when that officer originally split all of us up, interrogated all of us, he realized the age discrepancy. He realized that here I am at 25, just turned 25, and here she is 16, almost 17. And, instantly right there, I was arrested for molesting and annoying a minor, was my original charges. I'd never been in trouble my entire life. I've never even gotten a ticket at this point in my life. I was an honor roll student, part of a lot of clubs, never been in trouble my entire life. And so I did what anyone that's never been in trouble does. The police are on my side. I'll just tell them the truth and it'll be fine. And so I told the arresting officer, the park ranger, my entire confession. And I was then sentenced to oral copulation, penetration with a foreign object, and molesting and annoying a minor. All of these was somebody over the age of 16, but that never made it into that article. Just the original ones that he miswrote. The difference between what he wrote and what I was charged with is where two parentheses sit. Whether they're sitting on the outside of an A or on the outside of a B. And that's the only difference. And unfortunately, he put them in the wrong spot, and it said that all my charges were against somebody under the age of 16. And so that's why the internet, that's why so many people are raging. It's not like this is something that happened, just on Twitch. When my charges first came out, when I made bail and returned to the real world, because so many people thought that she was under 16, I was assaulted, spat at. I was asked to leave work with pay for a month until things could be investigated. There's a lot of things that happen.
Yeah.
And, the same things happened online. And it's sad that article still exists. But at this point, I think it's too late for it to disappear. That was my like godsend a year ago, was saying, if I get off the registrant, then they'll remove this article. But at this point, there's so many people that have it saved on their computers, so many people that have it screenshotted, that even if that article ever goes away, it won't make a difference at this point.
It's just part of their digital scrapbooks, man.
Exactly. And that's what you have to look at it as. It's just in the world of the internet, people, because of complete and total lack of self, you can be anybody, you can say anything, there's literally nothing that the world can do. In fact, the internet is more free than, even the real world is. And there's so many people standing up and lighting these torches that are saying, terrible things and jumping to the conclusions of, well, if he's a rapist, then he might as well be a racist. And that's literally the transition of thought. Well, he's a sex offender, he's a racist. Some of these streamers that are standing up and screaming at the top of their lungs are so smart about how they're doing it. Because being a sex offender isn't a protected status, but it is a status if you link somebody's name with it and turned it into slander that I could actually sue. But if you look at how these streamers are attacking me, they don't do it by name. They don't tag me outright and say this is this and this is this. They do it in a roundabout way. And then, of course, somebody talks on the internet, then tags me in it, and I get to hear all about it or watch the videos or whatever. It's very interesting how these intelligent, amazing people have turned into the ones that have their torches lit and are blowing the whistle. People that I called friends, colleagues, comrades, people that I and Amber, my girlfriend of 4 years in August, pretty cool, have supported since I started streaming. It's just really unfortunate. A lot of people that I considered my closest friends that I would do anything for, that I had done anything for, are gone. And I think that hurts worse than anything else that can be said to me, is the betrayal. Just those people just being completely gone.
I don't envy your position, man. I mean, we've all made mistakes, but dude, fuck. It sucks. It sucks. There's one thing that, to bring it back over to the incident that occurred most recently, a friend of mine wanted to ask why you would even associate with a guy who has the reputation that Arsis has.
So, streamers and people in the community, they are, unfortunately, who they are on stream is not always corresponding to their core value. I not only think that Arsis is not a racist, I have always thought that Arsis is one of the most real individuals that you'll ever have a conversation with, privately. And he's viewed as toxic and a scumbag and all these terrible things simply because of his interaction with his chat, who is also, toxic and negative and whatever, but it's not done in a sincere way. The same way that professional football players can, shit talk each other and belittle each other the entire game, but at the end of it, shake each other's hands with pride and still give each other hugs and say good game. And unfortunately, a lot of the gaming community, especially the Twitch community, feels like we have something to prove as far as professionalism is concerned. And they forget that we are playing a game. We are playing a game like football. And that doesn't mean that we can't be professional, but when they're shit talking things, he's shunned to the point of, basically saying that he's a terrible person, and he's not. And one of the first things that I said when all this went down was, why I respect Arsis is because I can always rely on him to give it to me absolutely straight. So even though, he's said some fucked up things, he's done some fucked up things, he's real. And knowing that somebody is genuine is more valuable to me than knowing someone to not knowing someone, actually. You can't even say knowing someone for their positive trait. That being said, since all of this has happened, I understand what Arsis's community represents and what Arsis represents. And I have to do what's best for my community and my message. I love Avery. That's Arsis's first name. I love Avery to death, and I will continue to talk with him one-on-one and privately. But unfortunately for my community and the message I'm trying to send, I don't think that I'm going to be able to have that interaction with him on a public level, especially where I'm potentially making my stream family friend.
I think that's a good choice. I don't know him too well. I never really networked with much of the Destiny community, even when I was playing the game. I have seen his name before. He was called out as being the most toxic.
And I mean, rightfully so. I mean, he's very vocal. He's very lewd, crude, rude. And he's probably one of the most compassionate people and most real people that I've ever met. And I'm not trying to stand up for his rudeness, his crudeness, his vocalization. I will stand up for the fact that he is a genuine human being, which is more than you can say about a lot of people on the internet.
True.
Is you don't know who anyone is. I feel like I know who ours is. But then again, on the flip side, I also assumed that I knew who those other streamers are that are blowing the whistles now. Never in my wildest did I ever think they would be the first ones to blow. But it makes sense.
They got what they could out of you.
Yeah,
It was time
they
to
did.
throw you under the
They
bus.
got their partnerships, they've got subs, and you know what? Because of my size, they got a shit ton of support out of this. People are, saying that they're brave, that they are courageous for turning on their friend and making sure that there's a zero tolerance for anything racist or racial at all on the internet. They're being applauded by the entire community. And you know what? I can see that point of view, and I can respect that point of view. But at the cost of belittling another human being, I don't think is acceptable. They did the right thing. I just don't think they did it the right way.
Fair
But
enough.
time will tell. Time will tell.
Fair enough, man.
I wish them the best, man. I've thought about going into their stream and praying that I wouldn't get banned instantly, and just I've thought about texting them. I can't tell you how many times I've looked at my phone because I have all their numbers. I know where they live. I've had these intimate conversations with them, and I've thought about contacting them since then. It's just, I want to wish them the best. Like, may they be successful. I harbor no ill will. And I can't waste that energy to harbor any sort of negative thoughts towards anyone. I have so much to rise above and so much to prove that if I allow any negativity to inherit any part of me, then I won't be able to make this journey at all.
Where are you trying to head next?
I mean, there's a lot of things that I'm starting to dip my feet into. I'm going to see how streaming works when I come back, see if we can't rebuild this community. I'm starting actually to look back into getting my certification for being a physical fitness trainer. I looked into it a few years back and started down that road, and I stopped actually because of my offense. Getting arrested and going to jail doesn't exactly keep your plans on track. And so I stopped. And when I came back, I started streaming because I didn't want to leave the house. Honestly, I didn't want to go in public because I live in a small town.
Yeah, you did.
Everyone knows everybody, everyone, it was shame. Like, I couldn't leave the house. And so streaming was my way of getting out, of interacting, of having that environment. And I'm a different person now. I feel like I can walk out with my head held high and still be prideful of who I am as a human. And that's a long ways to come from the pain and the hurt. I mean, I couldn't walk in to Walmart to look at my old co-workers' faces. I couldn't walk down to certain stores because I was so close with those people. And now it's progressed to the point where, I'm okay seeing my old co-workers' face. I'm okay with waving and smiling and saying hi. And those are things that have to heal, So we're going to see how the stream does, see if we can rebuild this community, see if we can rise above all the hate and negativity. The plan is to prove everyone wrong. There's a lot of big names that don't think that I should be here, and I have a lot to prove. And we'll see how, kind of play it by ear and see how it goes over the summer. But the plan is to start looking into those trainer classes come this fall at the local community college and see if we can't start going that way with life to have kind of more of a backup plan. I'm free of all legal requirements of all classes of basically everything come September. And so to have that freedom to go where I want, to do what I want, to be where I want, is absolutely incredible. I ended probation actually 1 month ago. And I go to the park with my dog. I go to swim parks with my girlfriend and all of her brothers and sisters, because she has 4 younger brothers and sisters. So we take them to the swim park. Like, having those actual real family interactions makes me feel human. And that's probably the biggest thing out of all of this, and why I'm able to push through all the negativity so much, is because all I have to do to get away from it right now is just turn off my computer, turn off my phone, and just be with those people. And it all fades away.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. I mean, this is just one part of our lives. At day's end, it's just one part of it. And you actually made it. You know? You helped a lot of other people in the process too.
But that's not what I'm known for anymore. That's not the label. It's so fast to all burn down. It doesn't matter the charities events I've done. It doesn't matter the streamers that I've helped get partnered. It doesn't matter the relationships that I created. And it doesn't matter the time that I've put into it. To those people that have lit the torch. All of that now has boiled down to, he's a racist and he's a sexist. And I know that I'm never going to be able to escape one of those labels. Actually, soon I won't have to register as well. So at least I will be able to say that's in the past. But there's a lot of things that I have to rise above, and a lot of torches I have to put out, and a lot of people I have to prove wrong to overcome the racist label that's been put on me so hard.
Going back to the racist label, you said something about you're not being racist. And I read this really interesting article some time back, talking about Lady Gaga and how she asked her Twitter followers, what can all the non-racist white people do to help people of color? And the author of this article said that you can't just say that you're not racist. You're either racist or you're anti-racist. Pick one.
Oh, that's interesting. That is a very interesting point of view, and it makes sense. I'm in a position where I believe recognizing racial differences and understanding that there's a problem leads to further separation and desensitization of the entire thing. I understand that atrocities have been committed, and, I'm not, God, how to say this without sounding racially insensitive. I feel that some of the most thriving races on the planet, people of Asian descent, people of Native American descent, people of African American descent, and even Caucasians, right? So the most successful, in my opinion, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, the entire Asian culture, we're talking China, Japan, Taiwan, are all the most successful countries in the world right now. And we as Americans consistently ignore the Chinese genocide that happened in California, building our railroads and making all these things. And yet the topic is never really about Chinese Americans or even Native Americans and the genocide that we had with them, but it always comes down to African Americans.
Sure, because you want duality, right? You got black and white. Yellow people are an other. You understand?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the middle, right?
Dude, if you look at the Goldilocks theory, white people are actually very firmly in the middle.
Yeah.
It's a comfortable place to be. This is normal. You've got extremes on either end. You just want to be comfortably in the middle of the road. We've got big problems with this country. a really racist history.
Racist history that this country would have never been where it is without the terrible atrocities of the past. The same way that, concentration camps would have never been built without the actual Jewish people building them. The Nazis didn't build them. They had the Jews build their own prisons. It's the progress of this country was built on slave labor, was built on the backs of Asians, was built through destroying and displacing Native Americans. And it's sad and it's disgusting, but the same things were happening all around the world. All around the world. There was slaves in Europe even. And it's not that we don't talk about them, it's just that it feels further away. But I don't know, man. This country is so sensitive and so scared and so racially insecure and wanting so bad to not be. And I think that's why people are so quick to blow the whistle and say, oh, they're racist or, oh, they're not supporting it, is because I think as a country, we want to be a melting pot. And it's so taboo to be anything but wanting that. And so, unfortunately, I've had the whistle blown on me, but it's like I said at the very start of our conversation, if I'm racist towards anyone, it's towards other Caucasians. But you're right. That's a very interesting article. Hopefully I can find it. So either you're a racist or you're an anti-racist.
Hey, don't just try to stick in the middle here, Whitey.
You got it.
You got to pick a side, dude.
Okay, ban him. Twitch, you heard him. He called me a whitey. That's not okay. That's not okay.
But this isn't hate speech, man. What else am I going to call you, cracker?
See, I should be blowing the whistle right now. I should be taking, but see, that's the double standard too. And that's something that a lot of people have started to come to me about, is the double standard of race. For a black person to call, or, in this scenario, an Asian man to call somebody cracker or whitey is unacceptable. But if, my little brother walked in the room and I said, yo, what up, my cracker, my Manila, that would be okay because I'm white, right? The same can be true of African Americans and their greetings towards, what we would call an offensive racial slur is a double standard.
Okay, so the thing that racism requires in order to succeed is that you have to have a group that actually holds power over others. And you brought up slavery in the past. So forced labor of African Americans who were treated like property. And then you brought the fact that the Asians were brought to build railroads. And there's so much, Jesus, there's so much. But at the end of the day, it's still a white man's land.
Agreed.
But the power dynamic is shifting. Things are changing. Right? There's a book that that my parents had laying around on a bookshelf, and the name of the book always caught my eye. It was The Coming White Minority. It was talking about California. Cities in California.
It's already happening in California. Whites are actually considered a minority comparatively to Hispanics as far as the population is concerned.
You should see what my neighborhood looks like, man. It's like so few white people, it's crazy. I see them and it's just like, whoa, holy shit, when did you move in here? But times are changing.
So the proper word is demographics. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big shift. But you're right, we're supposed to be a melting pot. Instead, we've got a tossed salad. Big old salad bowl that's America.
Okay, so my facts are absolutely wrong. California is 72.9% white, 6.5% black or African American, 17.7% Asian, and then everything else is basically under 3%.
It's specific cities.
Yeah, it absolutely is 100%. It's interesting. This is a pretty interesting article, actually.
I didn't have much else, man. A while back, I slid into your DMs asking about the firearm issue, the issue of mass shootings, but I never heard back from you, and I just kind of figured, guy's busy. And I also noticed that you really pared down the number of people you're following on Twitter. You went from like 100 down to 16.
So originally, I've always had less than 100. I read every single post that's ever posted onto Twitter by those people that I follow. And I was doing a social experiment, very, very simple one. I unfollowed everyone on every social media and even Twitch. So I unfollowed everyone on Twitch, everyone on Twitter, everyone on Discord, left all the Discords, and just left. And the social experiment was quite simple, because to be so overwhelmed with the amount of people that you're in contact with, your energy is spread to all those people.
True.
Even though it might not seem like a lot, I would rather have a little bit deeper of a relationship than just, I know them, they're a decent person. I like to have those more intimate relationships. And so I felt like I was getting spread too thin. I was following almost 500 people on Twitch. My Twitter was, I couldn't make up my mind, and it started to veer up over 100. And I just couldn't figure out how to narrow it down. So at first I started taking, people that didn't post off, or people that I didn't watch their streams off. And then I started taking people off that, that I just hadn't heard from in a long time. And then I started leaving people on there because they were big streamers or big broadcasters. I left people on there that had huge follower counts, and I was like, wait, what are they adding to my broadcast? They haven't been in my broadcast. They haven't supported my broadcast. It's been years since I've gotten a private message from them, or they've liked it, or they've looked at my profile at all. I'm just going to remove everybody. Now, this is where the social experiment comes into play.
All right.
All they had to do was come back and say anything to me. Say, hello, hey, why did you remove me? Hey, man, I saw that you unfollowed my stream. Or, hey, how are you doing? A lot of people didn't realize that I unfollowed their stream. They would come into my stream and they'd be like, hey, TaLoN, how's it going? Not realizing that I was no longer following. I'd be like, you know what, man, thank you so much for coming back into my broadcast, back into my stream, and just saying what's up. I appreciate you, and I'm going to let you know that I'm in your corner. I'm going to be following you on Twitter. I'm going to be following you on Twitch. Mods, can I please get a shout out for this amazing broadcaster? And bam, I would instantly refollow them on Twitch and on Twitter. Now, it was only one day of that experiment before all of the torches started to get lit around this racism. And so I went from having like 40 something people that I was following again, because those people interacted with me. They just said hello to me. And so I refollowed them on Twitter and Twitch and everywhere else, joined their Discords again. And what happened is the torches went up, and I decided to unfollow everyone again because I didn't want them to be impacted.
Shit. Yeah.
So I basically wiped the slate clean twice last month down to 0. Now, the people that I am following on Twitter, these are people that are, hyper loyal to me. I've had one-on-one conversations with, best friends that I grew up with, my own little brother, people that are truly, truly supporting me and know who I am, to at least the extent that they would defend me if asked about me. So those are the people that I'm following now on Twitter. Those are the people that I'm now supporting on Twitter.
Gotcha.
And I would follow more people on Twitch, but I can't even log into my account. So.
Yeah, you'll get it back though.
Yeah. July 4th is the last day of my suspension.
Ooh, Independence Day.
Double Independence Day. Yeah. It'll be good.
I hope for the best for you, man. I'm really curious. I'm really curious to stay tuned and find out what happens next in your trials and tribulations.
It's definitely going to be a very long and interesting road ahead. One that, I'm spending a lot of time reflecting and hypothesizing and trying to prepare myself for the slew of negativity that's about to come my way. Because as amazing as it's going to be to stream again, it's also going to be terrifying. It's also going to be heartbreaking. It's also going to be demoralizing, and it's going to be embarrassing. And I have to prepare myself for that at a mental and emotional level. And I don't know if that's something that you can really, as a human, prepare for.
That's why you have strong support networks.
Yep. Agreed. All we can do is smile and have the best outlook that we can. That's literally, that's all we can do. Okay, what are we vaping on? I gotta know.
Oh, this is something that a viewer recommended to me some time back. His username is Doggy. I think he makes music.
And it's Rainbow Sherbet, huh?
Oh yeah.
What's the milligrams on it?
6.
6. What's your wattage like on your mod?
This thing's got headroom up to 70. It's an old piece, but that's how.
Is that what you're running it on right now? Is 70?
29.3.
Really?
Yeah, I wanted to. My batteries are old. Everything I have is old. Gavin, I've been broke as a joke for a long time, dude. But I'm keeping my head up and confident that I've got something I can offer to this space.
Yeah.
So I keep moving forward.
Well, one day we can both look back and laugh at this conversation when you hit that millionaire goal, right?
We'll see how far I make it. Million's nothing, man. But the first mill's always the hardest.
Agreed. I was just saying, those are some fat ass clouds that you got coming out for only being at that low of wattage. Just saying.
Yeah. I'm pretty used to doing this. Way back when I was getting into the Destiny, I remember I was at, is it called Shake Shack? It's a burger joint.
Not sure.
Started off in Yankee Stadium, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, there was this grand, some opening event. I think it was Shake Shack. And I spoke with you for a bit. It was Shake Shack.
Yeah, it's Shake Shack.
I was trying to get your input on how to grow as a broadcaster. You talked to me about scheduling, consistency, networking, and that it's a real grind to it. That there's a lot of grinding.
Well, in my opinion, there's got to be a way to have a formula towards growing, to do specific things in order to get exposure. I mean, if your product is faulty, it doesn't matter how much marketing you do. If you have a solid product, then oftentimes the product just needs exposure in order to be successful.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the things that I try to tell people when they ask how to grow, how to, achieve more on Twitch, I can only do so much to help a faulty product. If you're trying to sell a rock, people won't buy the rock. Now, if you put the rock in a box and call it a pet rock, there might be some people that buy it. But I'm still the one that came up with the idea to put your rock in a box. Now, I can help people. I can help them get basics down, their core mentalities down, things that they absolutely need to do and things that are taboo, guide them in a way of networking that I don't even think I can do because of who I am. And if your product is amazing, then you will be successful. Now, that doesn't account for people that are just blessed and blow up overnight over nothing. People have gotten lucky. People get lucky. But I believe people that put in earnest effort into growing will grow. And people that have a good product with that earnest marketing, that earnest networking, and that earnest attempt at growing, they'll be more and more and more successful. The hardest thing about being a broadcaster is having retainment, is to keeping the people around, is to keeping consistent. So a viewer that was interested in your broadcast last month is still interested in it this month. And that all comes with, reshaping your product, reshaping who you are. And, I say this with a lot of, I'm going to say it with a lot of apprehension. And I've said this to Amber, I've said this in a couple of private conversations, but with what happened to my broadcast and what I did is probably the best thing that I've ever done for my school. And the reason that I say that is because I was headed down a pretty dark path. I was associating with broadcasters that were belittling my message. I was becoming part of that negativity, that toxicity, and it's a long road down that because we're talking about shifting the very core of your value system. Going from not allowing the people that you played with to even teabag to being the one starting to take, that form. And that is, it's at its core, it's just a video game, but it represents forceful sexual conduct on another person's being. Like, even though it's just a video game, it's still what it represents. And that's something that I used to not stand for at all. And, I started to teabag, I started to shit talk, I started to belittle people, and I started down that terrible path. And without this wake-up call, without this suspension, without losing, these diehard viewers, these diehard friends, I don't know how long the broadcast would have lasted anyway. If you keep on lowering your quality and you don't drastically stop to improve, then all that's going to happen is you're going to lose more and more customers. If you were the best burger place in town, but you were going bankrupt, so you switched to cheaper meat instead of raising your prices, then your quality is going to go down and you're going to lose your customer base. People will say it's not as good as it used to be. You're going to lose those people, and the more business you lose because you decided instead of increasing your costs, cut the corners and sacrifice quality, you'll eventually lose all your business and go out. And that's how I look at this as far as streaming is concerned and my community is concerned. I serve the best product that I could serve. I marketed and I networked correctly, and I grew and I prospered. When Destiny 2 came out, it wasn't what anyone was expecting, and because of that, I started to cut corners. I started to open up stores at other venues with other people that might not have been the best people to open up venues with. And I sacrificed my product without raising the cost. And there was no quality control until finally the health inspector came and said, we have to shut you down. This is your first warning. We'll be back in 30 days to check in on you. And we're going to check in on you every day for the next 90 days after that. So it's interesting. I always tell people that streaming on Twitch, everything that you know in real life makes you a better broadcaster. Everything that you know how to make money, how to make friends, how to shake somebody's hand, every commercial, everything that you've ever seen in real life can be applied to streaming, can be applied to broadcasting. Now, what you apply is up to you, and how effectively you apply it and how it works for your product is all up to you. Streaming is interesting. Streaming is life. In a box.
There it is, man. Well, Talon, I've taken up now a little over an hour of your time. I want to thank you for that. This most recent advice, the advice you gave me back when I was starting out.
Of course, it's my pleasure, man. It's my pleasure. It's gotten a lot more quiet around here. So the people that are wanting to take that time to talk with me, and of course, you know, with me having more time than I've had in years, I'm taking that time to start to listen, to start having those conversations and start to open up to the people that really are genuine. You know, so I appreciate you, you know. It's not like this is the first time that we've tried to have a conversation. We've only really talked twice ever in depth to any degree. And I appreciate you for being genuine and for being consistent, truly.
I'll try to be here until I get bored of the space.
You have to do what keeps your interests intact.
As for you, I've got some stuff to send you. I guess I need to turn up some articles, a little something for you to take a look at. And also,
I would love that.
Shoot you a little something so you know what I've been up to lately, what I've had to deal with personally.
I would love to. My DMs are always open to you, always.
Well, thank you, man. Means a lot to me.
I hope you have an amazing stream, man. Thank you so much for the great talk. I'll be lurking. You can't see me in your chat, but I've had your stream open since like 6. So.
Thank you for that. You know, that's one of the most helpful things you can do.
Oh, I know. I preach it. I preach it to everyone that even will listen for a second, man, is lurking is love. Being in the stream is the most valuable thing you can do because it just gets you that little bit more exposure. You know, there was a point when I was living with Amber's family, everyone had their cell phones out, all turned into my channel. You know, I had my channel open, you know, in 3 different windows on the laptop and even my own cell phone. And, you know, just enough to get up to 20 viewers so people could hear my message, so new people would start to flow in. You do what you have to do in order to get the exposure, in order for people to hear your message. You know, the same way in real life, if you were starting a rally, if you were alone on a sidewalk chanting, you know, people only take you so serious. But if you have 20 people around you all chanting, then they can hear you. They can hear you.
So social proof, baby. We all need it.
Yep. All right, man. Stay blessed, brother. Hit me up with those articles and the DM. Let me know what you've been going through.
All right.
Okay, take it easy.
Thank you. You too. NDS TaLoN. I first came across him on DestinyLFG.net. Can't remember exactly what his message was, but I think it was during Iron Banner. Back in Destiny 1, Year 1? I want to say it was way back in Year 1. He just grew and grew and grew. It was pretty marvelous to see. Remember, he used to send out messages on Xbox Live to everyone when he was going live. Gavin, I really appreciate your time. Can't imagine what it's like to be in your position. One moment, feeling on top of the world. And it's a grind, I know. I know it's a grind. 8-hour days gaming. Most people think you're just having all the fun in the world. Shit's not easy. Who knows, maybe we'll catch you in IRL sometime. Oh, I didn't even know you had a dog. I thought it was just Kiwi.